Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Cricket with Aakash. We haven't had one of these for a long time thanks to Akash's schedule, and he's been traveling around commentating, and the latest gig is the Champions League T20. And before we get to the Champions League T20, I want to ask you about your new avatar. I don't know whether you're copying me or I'm copying you, but we are both with glasses.
No, you've had specs for a very long time, Yutsu, but mine are very, very new. And it's not a fashion statement. It's a part of life now because these are prescription glasses, so they're not made or they're not there to make me look geeky or more scholarly. The fact is, I'll have to wear them whenever I'm on the computer.
Very trendy, I must say. But before we start getting into the fashion side of things, let's talk about the Champions League T20. A tournament, and you've been commentating already. You were in Ranchi yesterday. How was the atmosphere like over there?
You have to be there to believe the atmosphere, Yutsu, because it was electric. And trust me, I'm not exaggerating one bit. While there were two very good games, the first game involved Trinidad and Tobago, one of my favorite sides in the CLT20 because of the brand of cricket that they play. But that ground was full, not to see them play, but to watch the second game of the night between the Chennai Super Kings and the Titans from South Africa. And more than that, just one man, their favorite son, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, come out and play in front of the home crowd. So every single person in that stadium, and there were about 40,000 of them, were cheering just one name very, very loud, and that was Mahendra Singh Dhoni. And it was phenomenal, and because okay, fine. Chennai Super Kings, theoretically, it was an away game. They were their home ground is Chennai, so they should not really enjoy that kind of home support or the support from the crowd as such. But then Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Ranchi can never be an away game. So it was heartening to see the kind of respect and admiration this man actually demands and is getting over there. But also, at one level, you also feel that someone like A.B. de Villiers, who played perhaps one of the best T20 innings that I have at least seen for a long, long time, went probably unnoticed or probably slightly underappreciated because the ground fell silent. Every time he hit a 6 or a 4, there was this deathly silence in the stadium. It was slightly unnerving, but then that's the beauty when you're playing against their favorite son.
And, the Indian squads obviously have an advantage apart from being very strong. My favorite squad is the Trinidad and Tobago team, which won't feature again in the Champions League T20 because of the Caribbean Premier League. But the Indian teams, they have to be the favorites, don't they?
Oh, yes, they have. They are very, very strong. Initially, you talk about the Chennai Super Kings. They haven't changed their core since their inception. The likes of Dhoni, Raina, Badri, Ashwin, Vijay. Now they've added Ravindra Jadeja to the mix. So that's got about 6-7 quality Indian players. And then the overseas players. So they've actually covered all the bases. You talk about the Mumbai Indians. They're also in the same boat. Sunrisers and Rajasthan Royals perhaps are not in the same league. But then there are very strong sides in their own right. And there's one fundamental difference between the sides from India and sides from the other countries. One, we've got 4 overseas players. That's the rule. That's what IPL allows every team to play. And on the contrary, you go to the BBL, there are only 2 overseas players allowed. You go to South Africa, there's only 1 overseas player allowed. And you talk about the Trinidad and Tobago team, your favorite team, doesn't even have an overseas player. And on top of that, they lose what they have, their homegrown talent. TNT lost Pollard, Cooper, Dwayne Bravo. You talk about Brisbane Heat, the champions of the BBL. They've lost 4 players. Shane Watson to Rajasthan Royals, Mitchell Johnson to the Mumbai Indians, Thisira Pereira to Sunrisers Hyderabad. Luke Pommersbach is not here because of his family reasons. And a good example would be that this Brisbane Heat, the team that won the BBL, and the quality of cricket is obviously slightly better in the BBL, or at least it's talked about a lot. I think 4 of their players haven't scored a run or taken a wicket in T20 cricket, ever. And only 3 of their batsmen have scored more than 500 runs in T20 cricket. So that tells you the story. That inexperience is right there. You can see it. It's palpable. It's tangible. And that is why I feel that an Indian team should go on to win this tournament.
Well, there was this whole fuss made about Kumara Sangakkara choosing to play for Kandurata Maroons, or was he going to choose to play for Sunrisers Hyderabad? And there seemed to be this case made that he should possibly play for his home team because it's patriotic, even though it's basically just two franchises. What intrigued me about the whole thing is that he chose to play for the weaker team and possibly for less money. Had you had this option to make, would you have chosen to play for the stronger team, an IPL team which had more money, or maybe a weaker team so that you had more of an exposure and a greater chance to perform?
It'll be unfair for me to actually compare myself with someone like Sangakkara for a very simple reason that, yes, I could actually be looking at the exposure that a weaker team would provide. But Sangakkara was the captain of the Sunrisers Hyderabad in the previous edition. So it's not that there was any dearth of exposure for him. He chose a franchise over another franchise. So I don't think it was actually anything to do with patriotism. I think, yes, it was that card was played, but it was more jingoism than patriotism, because it just didn't have enough logic or legs or to that argument to really stand its ground. And I honestly feel that if you leave it to a player, it's a tough call to make, because IPL teams are offering a lot more money, substantial amount of money, and it is definitely difficult to turn their back to that kind of offer. And I think it's down to the boards, or say if TNT were to disallow someone like Kyron Pollard or Dwayne Bravo from participating in the Champions League for another franchise and not their own country, then they have to really step forward and make amends. They will have to compensate the players, because if you leave that onus on the players, they're professional cricketers. They have only a few years to make their living, and that's what they're doing.
And we were speaking before we went on air about Faf du Plessis playing on the bench for Chennai Super Kings yesterday when he should have actually been for the Titans. Isn't that a bit of a sad scenario given this whole debate, which is unique to the game of cricket from what I hear?
Which is very, very unique. His team was playing, and his depleted side was playing, actually, Titans. He plays for the Titans back in South Africa. But yesterday, he was actually in the Chennai Super Kings squad, but not good enough to make it to the final 11. But having said that, the choice was Faf du Plessis. He needed to make that call. He took that call, obviously knowing that what is best for his personal future. And we also have to bear in mind that the franchise actually gain and earn a lot of money if their player chooses to play for an IPL side. So they're compensated financially. So if you are happy to be compensated financially, then you can't really complain about missing a player of his quality or caliber. So I think it's a trade-off between the franchise, their home team, and the player. And it has to be very amicable, and best way forward would be to actually keep the player out of it, let the franchises decide amongst themselves.
Moving conveniently from talking about finances and talking about South African teams to this whole thing about India's tour of South Africa, which seems to be a bit in limbo. We'd have a decision either way, possibly during after the AGM that the BCCI has this weekend. But according to you, how important is this tour, and how do you think it'll go?
I talk about this tour as an Indian fan, and when I talk about when I think about that fan, I know that they're waiting with their bated breaths for this tournament to start, because this series to start, because this is one series where Indians will be tested. The last time when we toured overseas, we were annihilated. We didn't even win a single test match over a period of about 12-15 months. But a lot has changed since then. This team is looking much better. This is a younger squad. We've done well overseas now. Champions Trophy, Tri-Nation Series in the West Indies. And this squad gives you that promising look. And personally, if I talk about from a cricketer's perspective, I'd say what a wonderful tour to have, because it'll test me. It'll test my skills. It'll test my temperament. It'll test my technique. And when you pitch it against the best in the world, it brings the best out of you as well. So as a fan, as a cricketer, I am sincerely hoping, keeping my fingers crossed that this tour goes ahead and some exciting cricket is there to for everyone to see. Because trust me, and this is now I'm not talking about I'm not talking as a fan, I'm not talking as a cricketer. I'm telling you something. My hunch is that this Indian team will do better, much better than what they did in the last occasion. So if this Indian team goes there, I'm pretty optimistic that we will actually not only compete well, but we'll probably beat South Africa in their own den.
There's not much optimism from across the world when it comes to this India tour of South Africa, but at least, Akash, you have shed a happy light to it. Any final thoughts about the Champions League T20 and who are going to win it?
Well, who's going to win it? Chennai Super Kings, that name comes to your mind straight away because that team knows how to win. They've won the Champions League in the past. They've won the IPL in the past. They've been the most consistent side in all T20 formats or T20 tournaments wherever they've participated. So you will have to go with them. But another team that caught my eye last night was the Titans. I think they are also the title contenders. But then to win the title, they'll have to beat Chennai Super Kings, who actually defeated them badly. It was a one-sided game eventually at Ranchi. But if they were to win the Champions League, they'll have to meet them again in the finals and then beat them.
Thank you so much, Akash. That's it for today's episode. If you want to send in your questions to Akash, please send in your tweets with the hashtag TCWA, Talking Cricket with Aakash.
Correct.
And that's it for today.